Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to something else. Something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matana, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
And welcome back to the greatest classic pro wrestling podcast there is, the greatest classic pro wrestling podcast there was, and the greatest classic pro wrestling podcast there ever will be, Something Else. My name is Arya, and joining me as always is the killer Tim Brooks to my Kareem Muhammad, the Zambuie Express. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell are you doing today?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
I am great, and it's time for our weekly game. Trae, do you still know what episode number we're on?
Hold on, I have it written down. 305.
Okay, I don't know if it worked. I think it's cheating if you have it written down.
Well, no, I write it when I write my notes. But I just write the next number if I can keep it straight.
Well, I guess we'll see how long you can keep it straight for, but I thought this was purely you going from memory.
Well, I got you tomorrow too, so don't even try.
That's true. Well, hopefully you remember tomorrow. It's not as fun as when we do them backwards, and you can actually, I guess you never do them backwards, and you do it, we do it in the right order. It's only when Cindy and I do it on the weekends, and you and I do this show usually on Mondays.
Yeah, it's got to be confusing for you to do TNA after Mid-South and World Class of the Week.
Maybe, we're doing it in the right order, so I don't know.
I will say so I had a trip Sunday and Monday, so I would go. So on Saturday, I was like, okay, I gotta watch all the stuff. So by the time I had watched Mid-South, which was good, and World Class, which wasn't bad, and then the fucking TNA pay-per-view, I had to have a palate cleanser, so I had to watch FantasticaMania Mexico.
So how was FantasticaMania Mexico?
It was a very enjoyable show. I enjoyed it very much.
Okay. Now, before we dive too far in any further, just a few quick scheduling notes. As you may have heard, Trae said he's doing TNA this week, the pay-per-view tomorrow, Impact on Friday, which means no Smoky Mountain on Thursday. Smoky Mountain, though, will be back next week.
Yay.
And then speaking of programming notes, I guess I haven't confirmed this with you, but we're taking the week after Chicago off by the looks of it. Just scheduling that week is going to be a little more insane than we need it to be. So we're going to end up being 1 week off as we've done in the past, and we'll catch up at some point.
But we're not just not doing anything. We will be treating you to a live G1 Climax reaction.
Yes. Unless Trae and I get back to our hotels on Saturday night and just hate each other with a fiery passion, we're going to have a podcast that night, and it'll drop either late Saturday night or probably early Sunday morning. And we'll discuss G1 and whatever the hell comes to our minds about the city of Chicago.
If I don't hate you at the end of the TNA pay-per-view review tomorrow, we'll probably be fine.
Who knows? Because we'll be in there Friday night. We may do a Friday night spot show somehow.
I thought, yeah, we may very well.
Yeah, the return of the Friday night spot show that no one asked for. Now, you said you had some big news to discuss at the beginning of the show. What is it?
Not exactly news, but I had something I wanted to bring to the podcast here. I have a couple of tweets I want to read, okay? And the first tweet is from @Cultaholic. It reads, Bully Ray believes he could, quote, beat the living shit out of Jon Moxley. And by the way, just to be clear, Bully Ray, the big dumb bitch who thinks he's a badass because he used to scream slurs at people across a barricade. You know that Bully Ray?
Yes, I'm familiar with Bully Ray.
And Jon Moxley, who is a professional wrestler that we have different opinions on, but is like a guy who trains mixed martial arts and has won some amateur like jujitsu competitions on his days off. That Jon Moxley.
I am very aware of Jon Moxley, the former Dean Ambrose in WWE. Bully Ray,
So
by the way,
here,
is former Bubba Ray Dudley, in case there's any confusion.
so here's what Bully Ray had to say. The Death Riders have not helped AEW in any way, shape, or form. The Death Riders are Jon Moxley playing out his pro wrestling fantasies because he's got Tony Khan's ear, because he wants to be Terry Funk. I would kick the living shit out of Moxley. I'd beat the living shit out of him. Fraud. And the source is Busted Open Radio. Now, Jon Moxley doesn't do social media. He didn't respond to that. He probably doesn't even know about it. But I have a quote tweet from one Josh Barnett.
From one Josh Barnett.
The Josh Barnett.
Mm-hmm.
Former UFC heavyweight champion Josh Barnett. He says, interesting take here, quote, bully. Mox can handle himself just fine, so he doesn't need me to fight any battles for him. But if you ever have the itch to feel what it would be like to have your ass kicked so thoroughly to the point of epic humiliation, I can help you with that. I can not only, quote, beat the shit out of you, end quote, but do so in a way as to make your ass kicking legendary. For you, anytime, just ask. And I brought that to your attention for this reason. I think we have to induct Josh Barnett into the Something Else Hall of Something Else.
Now, I'm assuming Bully Ray, at least as of yet, has not replied to that.
Not that I have seen. I'm sure he will reply on his fucking podcast tomorrow.
Is this show air every day? I honestly don't know.
I don't know. I've never listened to it. Which, as people have pointed out, Bully just said that shit to get people to start talking about something other than Tommy Dreamer this week.
Well, I didn't quite say that, but I said Bully Ray just wants attention.
You didn't say that. I saw other people saying that.
Well, I did say that. I may be one of a million that said it, but I did say that. Second. So Josh Barnett on June 22nd, 2026, for his tweet responding to Bully Ray saying
for issuing a Hickson Gracie-esque warning to Bully Ray.
Warning to Bully Ray. So did we want to discuss the Tommy Dreamer situation?
Do you want to? I will discuss it if you would like to.
So I guess in case somehow we're your source of wrestling news, Tommy Dreamer was let go from TNA last week. There's rumors of what's going on with TNA. They're doing some budget cuts. And since then, there's been some stories that have come out about Mr. Dreamer. It started with a referee who, from what I could tell, has done refereeing in TNA before, saying that Tommy Dreamer told him that he would make it a point to never let him get a living in the wrestling business. And this led to... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Dan Perch is the fellow's name.
Okay. And this led to a few other people chiming in with their stories of Dreamer. Do you have them in front of you? I don't.
There were a couple from some independent women's wrestlers, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the names. One talked about how Dreamer was going to be in a substitute for a match that they were in, and she wanted to take a cane shot, and he said, no, I don't do that with women, and he insisted on doing the crotch grab spot, even though she didn't want to, and it made no sense. And then there was another woman who also said something about Dreamer forcing them to do a crotch grab spot.
The one with the cane shot, that wasn't a crotch grab. I thought that was the spanking spot.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now, I'm not defending the crotch grab spot or a spanking spot. I will say that if he's not comfortable caning a woman in the head, then I'm not going to complain about that. But it's the other shit that, he's allegedly said. Like he allegedly told Carly Bravo, of currently of AEW, that he doesn't know if he could market a quote unquote cocky black guy. Which
That's just admitting that you're the worst fucking wrestling promoter of all time.
What would he do with Swerve Strickland, do you think? I mean, I think we can pretty much figure that out, but I mean, the first person I think of when I think cocky black guy, I think of Swerve Strickland.
Didn't we have a conversation about the other day about how it used to be some bookers wouldn't have two black guys in the territory because they were both considered gimmick just for being black guys?
I don't think we did. You may have had it with somebody else.
Okay.
Let's see here. This is from a young lady named Kennedy Copeland. Hold up, are we sharing our Tommy Dreamer stories? Because one time I told him I really want to take a cane shot in a match, and he told me he doesn't do that with women, so instead we did a spanking spot because women, am I right? And when someone asked why she went through with it, she said, because I was young and dumb and impressionable and a people pleaser and still very new in wrestling and didn't know I could say no, especially to a vet, because I was always told if you really want it, you do anything for it. Let me see here. Danny Jordan, she said, let me see here, 1 second. I've been waiting for this. One time, Tommy Dreamer insisted on doing a crotch grab spot to me in a tag match he was a fill-in for. This had no place in our storyline, but he didn't care to ask. I did not want to do this, said how comfortable I was, but I'm just woman, right? And she later said, I was new in my career, should have trusted my intuition, said a firm no, and not succumb to peer pressure for the spot. This is the only thing that's happened in my career that felt degrading because I vowed to never let a motherfucker try me on some uncomfortable shit ever again. And then she managed to find a picture of it, which is exactly what it sounds like.
Okay, now you said that if somebody wasn't comfortable giving a cane shot to a woman, and I'm going to push back on that a little bit because, for the record, and everybody knows this, I do not like intergender wrestling. Like 90% of the time, the way that it's done in modern wrestling, it's just not conducive to the kind of wrestling that I like. That said, as far as the talent, if you are a professional wrestler and you are a woman, you are a professional wrestler. And you can take any bumps that a man can take. And you can take a fucking cane shot if you want to take a fucking cane shot. Tommy Dreamer was just being a misogynistic prick.
I'm only saying he may not have been comfortable doing it to a woman.
But he's comfortable spanking her ass and grabbing crotches?
There's no defense to him doing that shit. Or there's a video going around, and I retweeted it. He did some sort of shoot interview where Tommy Dreamer, not somebody quoting Tommy Dreamer said that he told Mickie James the reason why she wasn't signed by WWE was because she didn't have boobies. So she went out and got boobies, and then she got a job.
And she's been defending him. Funny how that works.
Yes, and actually, here, I'll play it for us here. This is apparently from Sharing My Knowledge with Tommy Dreamer, and I'm assuming it's an R video thing because it has that R video bar on the screen.
I remember Mickie James. Mickie James is probably one of the most talented females ever, and she's crying to me on the phone, how come they're not calling me up? And I was like, Mickie, you need to look at the girls, what they have, and what you don't. And I couldn't tell her that she needed boobies, but she got boobies and they called her up.
And when he was saying, what they have and what you don't have, he was pantomiming boobs.
Yeah.
For those who didn't see it.
I will say, I always liked Tommy Dreamer, just as a talent. But the first thing that started to turn me, do you remember the Dark Side of the Ring, the Plane Ride from Hell episode?
I was going to bring that up if you didn't. Yes.
Yeah, I was. This is what I tweeted yesterday. Remember when Tommy Dreamer compared sexual assault to having a bad haircut as things that might make other people upset with you?
Yeah. And it's like him and Flair ended up both on the nobody can hire these people list, and Dreamer got hired a lot quicker than Flair did. Because Flair didn't come back until the Sting retirement in AEW. Dreamer was back, I don't know how quickly, but like he was in TNA pretty quickly after that.
Well, TNA
I'd have
is
to
where, like, I'm surprised fucking like Michael Elgin and Velveteen Dream and Marty Scurll and Travis Banks and all of them aren't fucking working in TNA.
Hey, Elgin was in TNA and then they fired him when the Me Too stuff happened. So even TNA has a line.
Okay, that's fair enough. Fair play, TNA. You do have a line.
Yeah. Um, I don't remember what I was gonna say, but they Tessa Blanchard just left, and she didn't leave because of everything that's
No.
ever been said about Tessa Blanchard. She left because she got stuck in the middle of a political thing. You know, TNA's with WWE, WWE owns AAA, and Tessa likes working for CMLL.
Just
And
think over the period of wrestling history that we are familiar with. Has there ever been a time that probably any talent, but especially a foreign talent, could make more money wrestling in Mexico than they could in like a US TV promotion?
probably like 93, 94,
Yeah, okay,
like before the peso
like the
crash.
triple like the well the first couple of years of AAA that were really hot probably because
Yeah.
like that was when Jake got that stupid money for doing those matches.
And that's when, you know, American wrestling was in the shitter, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, other than that, probably not. Like the closest I can think is, you
Yeah.
know, the luchadors in WCW for the longest time they were able to work, you know, the triple or was it AAA or CML, whoever they were loyal to, I think it was AAA. They were able to work the Mexico dates and the WCW dates until Bischoff pulled a power play. So like they were doing pretty well, but they were also flying back and forth.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Hold on a second. I have to let my poor sweet cat in. He's meowing at the door.
so while we're doing that,
Come on,
yeah,
son.
I
Get your
don't
boy. Come on.
know if there's much else to mention here about this. Um, yeah, Tommy Dreamer, yeah, we'll say Tommy Dreamer at least can be a piece of shit. Bully Ray, from all accounts, is a piece of shit. Um, and I mean, it makes sense that the reason why Bully Ray suddenly this today decided that he's tougher than Jon Moxley is because of that shit, because Bully and Dreamer are friends. And, you know, I'm sure Bully's like, well, let me get some attention off of him now. And I mean, it worked because at one point, two of the top trending stories on Twitter was Bully Ray says he could beat Jon Moxley in a real fight. Literally had them both on top of each other. Like, how did they both become trending at the same time?
Astro
Um,
Peach, when I opened the door, just lolled over on his side, which means in like 90 seconds, I'm going to have to get up and open the door for him again.
you
Oh,
gotta
is
love it.
his anniversary of his come home day.
Happy anniversary, Astro Peach. Is
Did you
this
hear me?
one?
Yeah.
Yep. Can you hear me?
This is one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, uh, my mother's birthday, June 23rd.
Happy birthday to Trey's mama. Ha- Um, so yeah. Well, let's dive into the show here because we've gone about, you know, close to 20 minutes at this point. Let's dive into the
Yeah,
show
let's
here.
move on.
Mid-South Wrestling, June 22nd, 1985. I've watched so much wrestling since I watched this show that I forget half the stuff that's on it. So I may be as surprised as everybody else by the contents of this show. Let's go to JR and Joel with the intro.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting hour of Mid-South Wrestling. I'm Jim Ross, along with Joel Watts, will be describing the action of another tremendous event. that Matchmaker Grizzly Smith has assembled. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see some fine tag team competition. For example, you'll see the Fantastics go against the Dirty White Boys. Brickhouse Brown and Mark Reagan team up today. You'll also see Jake the Snake Roberts and the Barbarian. They're an awesome tag team combination. So much great tag team action. Joel plus Grizzly has put together some great single competition for all of our fine fans.
Oh, no doubt about it, Jim. Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch returns to the Mid-South. The Snowman, we'll see him in action in a great Mid-South Wrestling main event. Brad Armstrong will be taking on Dirty Dutch Mantell. It's bound to be a great match.
It sure is, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's such a great feeling right now going through the Mid-South area. I'm talking about a positive feeling because Cowboy Bill Watts has started something along with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The Hacksaw Jim Duggan, as a matter of fact, has received over 10,000 cards and letters of encouragement and the prayers and the thoughts of all the fans with Hacksaw Duggan. It really has touched Jim. I can tell you that personally, ladies and gentlemen. This feeling of unity, to stand up, because General Skandar Akbar wants to run Mid-South. He wants to be the head man in Mid-South. He wants to run wrestling in general all over this world. Well, Akbar has made several statements in the last few weeks. He has also issued this statement to introduce an impressive, awesome new protege. Let's hear General Skandar Akbar's comments.
Let's hear from him in just a minute. So the fans are touching Jim Duggan. I hope Duggan has consented to that because consent is key, ladies and gentlemen.
The Fantastics sure seem to consent to it.
Yes, they do.
By the way, I did indeed have to get up and let Astro Peach in while JR was talking.
Well, speaking of the Fantastics, they're taking on the Dirty White Boys today. We got some tag matches. We got some singles matches. They're saying it like these days, like, oh man, this is a special day because we got some tag matches and some singles matches. Like that doesn't happen on every episode of Mid-South Wrestling. We're also going to get Brad versus Dutch and the return of Dick Murdoch. So I'm excited because one of the
Very
biggest
exciting.
angles of Mid-South, at least in the latter days of Mid-South. Wow, we're already close to the latter days of Mid-South. It's coming up soon.
All right.
Yep. I don't actually. I should say. I say soon. I don't think it's until October. But hey, Dick Murdoch is here, meaning good shit is happening, and we'll see if he ever comes out without his pants on one week.
Is Dick Murdoch the biggest separate the art from the artist in wrestling?
I don't know. I don't think you can separate the art from the artist with him. At this point, there's two Dick Murdoch memories etched into my brain. Him coming out of the one episode of Mid-South without his pants on that you weren't here for, and him having to put his tights on at ringside.
I have seen that. I was so disappointed he didn't do that here.
And when he was on Smoky Mountain, shirtless outside in the mountains, cutting promos for.
Can we retroactively induct Dick Murdoch into something else? All of something else for those promos because we didn't have it yet. Then did we?
Maybe depending on how it went. I don't remember when it was, but Dick Murdoch into the Something Else Hall, something else. It's a good day for the Something Else Hall, something else. We inducted 2 people so far and counting.
We can't have had it at the time because that is definitely the kind of thing we would have inducted.
That's true. They were promos on Bullet Bob, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the front porch of his house in Colorado with his shirt off, drinking Coors beer. I've told this story before, but for new listeners, at that point in the 90s, Dick Murdoch's actual job was he worked for Coors, and his job was to go to bars and be Dick Murdoch and get people to drink Coors.
And he did an excellent job of being Dick Murdoch.
Yes,
if there's anybody out there we can trust to be Dick Murdoch, it's Dick Murdoch.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, he didn't shoot in the Royal Rumble when it was down to him, Shawn, Bulldog, and Crush. And he could have went and took the title from Diesel at WrestleMania.
Was that really the Final Four?
He's either Final 4 or Final 5, but I don't. Oh, Luger was also there, so he was Final 5 because Luger was thrown out, then Crush. Actually, because I meant to write more about the Royal Rumble 1995, so I have it actually the tab up in my thing here. So let me see here. Sean Bulldog, Crush Luger, Henry Godwin, and Dick Murdoch. Yada yada yada. Well, they both tumbled over, and Henry held on to avoid hitting the floor, so he was final six. Henry Godwin was
Yeah.
fifth.
Quite a run in the 1995 Royal Rumble.
Yes, his last match, I believe it was his last match on national TV. When I get to Slamboree 95, not that I can't just look it up now, but he may have been on Slamboree 95.
I don't think
But
so.
well,
No, you're right.
anyway,
He was. He wrestled Wahoo McDaniel.
why do they keep bringing back Wahoo? Like, actually, the best part about Slamboree 95, because my brother and I did that when we did a show many, many moons ago. Like, the main event was Hogan and Savage versus Flair and Vader. And it's like, Flair was barely younger than the legends on the show.
If you ever go to like a meet and greet and Stan Hansen's going to be there, let me know because I have a question I need relayed to him.
I do not trust you for 1 second. So,
Well, he's
Stan
the only.
Hansen ever. Go ahead.
He's the only person. He's the only person I can think of who would know the answer.
What's the question for Stan Hansen that I will probably never ask him for more than one reason?
Who chopped harder, Wahoo McDaniel or Kenta Kobashi?
Okay. That's not a Trey trying to get Arya's ass kicked question.
Because is there anybody else that had significant matches with Wahoo McDaniel and Kenta Kobashi?
I cannot imagine there's another human being on the planet who's had a match against both Wahoo and Kenta Kobashi. Did Flair ever wrestle Kobashi?
You know what? It's something so entertaining, or it was kind of funny. Somebody was trying to figure out who had wrestled both Will Ospreay and Giant Baba, and there were three names, and they were all in for one match. That it was a 6-man tag at like the '98 All Japan Tokyo Dome show, I think, or somewhere in there, somewhere in '98, '99. The
I'm gonna guess Vader.
Jado Gato, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. No,
Okay.
Vader. There was very little overlap with Vader and Baba in All Japan because Baba died that January. Yeah, Jado Gato and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, the three men who have wrestled both Giant Baba and Will Ospreay.
What a eclectic fact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is more interesting than General Skandar Akbar's promo, but we're going to listen to Akbar anyway, because he's got a new guy. Let's go to Akbar now.
Kareem Muhammad, Zambuie Express, when I bring them in, they're 400 pounds plus. And I told Mid-South, I told Cowboy Bill Watts and the whole wrestling world that I'd bring Mid-South to its knees, that I'd put you on the street, Watts, you and your family, and you, Duggan, you have already felt the wrath of the General. It's the Godfather's time, the man of the hour. And I dare anybody to defy my quest to take over the Mid-South. I understand Captain Redneck himself, Dick Murdoch, is back to try to unseat the General. Maybe you're going to help Watson Duggan. Well, I'll deal with you, and I'll deal with you again, Murdoch. You just remember that. And anybody else, I'm always one step ahead of the wrestling world. They don't call me the General for nothing. I'm always one step because I've got unlimited resources and unlimited wealth. And you, Watts, you're going to be out on the street like Mid-South.
That man with General Skandar Akbar, the Zambuie Express, 406 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, the Zambuie Express and General Skandar Akbar are in the ring. Let's go to ring announcer Boyd Pierce for our first match.
Joel has this look on his face like, I don't think he knows wrestling as a work. It's like, man, that 406-pound man is going to wrestle my daddy. I think Joel might have some doubts that his daddy might stand up there against him.
Do you think Joel still called Bill Daddy at this point?
I doubt Joel ever called Bill Watts daddy. There's a good chance that Bill's the kind of person that made his kids call him Mr. Watts.
Well, so in the South where I grew up, it has been very common for generations for people of all ages to call their father daddy. And like my sister, who was in her 40s, still calls our father daddy. Now, I called him daddy when I was younger, and then I switched to dad when I was like probably a teenager. But it's still very common in the South for grown adults to call their father daddy.
I'd say that is definitely a regional thing, because I cannot imagine a grown adult in the North calling their father daddy. Like if you heard a adult woman calling an older man daddy up here, you'd be like, ew. So I wrote take a drink every time Joel says the Stampede is alive in '85, but I guess I wasn't paying attention because I didn't remember him saying it here in the intro, but he does say it a couple times, and it's annoying. But so yes, Kareem Muhammad is the Zambuie Express, and as I mentioned last week, it is in fact Ray Candy, who is best. If you remember him, more than likely, you're going to remember him as his brief run at the end of JCP / beginning of WCW as a fat guy tag team called the Commandos. And in case you have any doubt of what I'm saying, and you don't want to run to Cage Match and just want to say, Ari, you're full of shit, well, Joel Watts, being the Joel Watts that he is, called him Ray Candy.
I will say Ray Candy's probably greatest contribution to professional wrestling. He did train New Jack.
That's tremendous.
Yes.
I gotta say, I kind of like the falling headbutt he did here.
Kokeshi. I like to imagine that a young Tomoaki Honma in Japan somehow was getting Mid-South wrestling tapes and being inspired by Kareem Muhammad, the Zambuie Express.
Maybe it's on the World Pro Wrestling.
There you go. It might be. We should review that show. That's what we should do.
You brought that up a few times. I downloaded them off XWT Classics, and it's like half the matches are stuff we've already seen. And there's also one where it's like, I think 2 hours of WrestleMania 2. No one on the planet needs us to watch WrestleMania 2 that badly. With Japanese commentary. By the way, Kareem Muhammad, the Zambuie Express, defeated Private Terry Daniels. Mm-hmm. The fact that we didn't bother mentioning Private Terry Daniels really tells you just how important he was to this match. I do think it's funny, though, that, Ray Candy, Kareem Muhammad, he is in camouflage, and Private Terry Daniels is just in regular trunks.
Yes. Remember his Marine Corps uniform with the wrong rank insignia?
Unfortunately, they figured that it takes him too long to get out of it on television. And especially since all he's doing is jobbing at this point, why are we holding things up for the jobber to take his pants off?
That's probably a fair enough point.
So Dick Murdoch is back, and we are going to get a promo with him. Let's go to JR, who introduces the promo.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, one of the great things about being involved in professional wrestling, you have a lot of great friendships. One man that I can say has been a great friend of mine for quite some time is Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch. He is a tremendous patriotic individual, one of the most charismatic men in wrestling, and he is double tough. We all know that from his battles with Killer Carl Cox and many more. Well, Dick Murdoch has returned to Mid-South with a very specific mission. He was here at the request of Cowboy Bill Watts. Dick Murdoch made these comments.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. You people sitting out here in Mid-South, you know who's standing right here in front of your TV screen. You know it's Dick Murdoch. And you know that I'm no stranger to each and every one of y'all sitting out there. Now, you know I was laid up in a honky-tonk over there in Tokyo, Japan, and Ed searched all over that big city for me because his emergency phone call. And when lo and behold, when they finally got me, on the other end of it was an old boy from Bixby, Oklahoma. An old boy that I had a lot of run-ins with. An old boy that I teamed with. An old boy that's a tough, tough hombre. and the name of Bill Watts. And he had told me a bunch of things that was going on between Akbar and Ted DiBiase, a person I personally got in college, personally broke in professional wrestling, and he personally turned into a turncoat, and nothing happened in Polecat. And then, about the time I finally sobered up and started listening good to this conversation, come a little episode in Terry Daniels, a former United States Marine Corps veteran just like myself. Proud to have been in the Marine Corps. And lo and behold, two dirty white boys jumped him and insulted the great Marine Corps uniform. Well, let me tell you something, Terry Daniels and Bill, I'm back. And these people know that when we speak, there's going to be two big old boys out there, and we come to kick it all over this territory. Now, I'll guarantee you one thing. Dirty white boys and Akbar, I come from the Middle East, too. I seen what your kind of people look like. We're here to fight.
Jim, I think Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch is probably the toughest Marine ever in the history of professional wrestling. Of course, as he said, he's here for a reason. So many incidents lately. Ric Flair causing Terry Taylor to lose the North American Championship. The Dirty White Boys disgracing Private Terry Daniels' uniform. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, of course, got to be first on the list, getting his eye burned by
Ted DiBiase's situation.
Yeah, Ted DiBiase, of course, he can't understand why a guy from West Texas is following behind Skandar Akbar, just like all the rest. You know, he's going to put a stop to it. Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch is also calling out what everybody else is saying. The Stampede's alive in '85, and we're going to see him in action very, very soon. Let's go to the ring.
There we go. There's the Stampede is alive in '85. I know we didn't see it because it was on Power Pro, but it's really weird they ran this angle with Private Terry Daniels to have him constantly teaming with, big names. He teamed with Sergeant Slaughter on the Superdome. Dick Murdoch is here talking about defending and being in the corner of him. And he's just I mean to say this, but he's just a jobber. It's like he never wins on this show. He rarely puts up a competitive match. And it's like just the fact that he was a Marine, they're like, man, we got to protect him somehow, even though we're not protecting him in booking.
It might help me contribute to the podcast if I unmute my mic. I'm sorry, I'm still confused about the thing that Joel said. I thought Stampede folded in '84.
Well, actually, Stampede's about to come back in a couple months because Vince is not paying off his part of the deal.
That was a terrible joke, but I had to make it.
Yes, I do. So I like that Dick Murdoch was laid up at a honky-tonk somewhere in Tokyo when someone found him and gave him a phone, and Bill Watts was on the other end of the tin can and string. And if you need any more proof that he's a babyface, this promo cemented that for you.
Yeah, this was. I just gotta say, Dick Murdoch, I admire you so much for your skill as a professional wrestler. Honestly, this is there's a lot of good workers in this territory, but you have raised the average, and just it's remarkable. How do you manage to cut a promo on quote the Dirty White Boys and still manage to make it racist against Arabs?
Well, you got a promo on all the heels. The funny thing is he didn't even mention DiBiase's name, but if you watch the show enough, you know that that's who he was talking about. And then Joel, of course, just said it. But yeah, he's been in the Middle East, so he knows where Akbar's coming from. Even though, again, Akbar was in the territory when he was here last time. He didn't need to do that anyway.
Heel Ted DiBiase against babyface Dick Murdoch sounds like a hell of a lot of fun.
It really, really does. And I bet we have some good promos coming up here. And hey, this is a good sign. Like, we're getting a lot of stiffs in the territory, but at least we're also getting Dick Murdoch.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's a big step up.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of Dick Murdoch, Dick Murdoch versus Carl Styles. And for those who were around for the very beginning of Smoky Mountain, Carl Styles, it was like this running joke. Where is Carl Styles? Dutch, where's Carl Styles at? Well, someone tell Dutch, because he's on this show. Carl Styles is right here. And Trae doesn't get this reference at all, which is okay. We'll have to save it for the Smoky Mountain watch along project. But basically, Dutch was getting his ass kicked by primetime Brian Lee for a couple weeks, and so he needed a bodyguard. So he got Carl Stiles to stand behind him for a TV taping. And then one week, Carl Stiles just disappeared. And so for like an entire month, Caudle would ask Dutch, "Hey, Dutch, what happened to Stiles?" And Dutch would be like, "Don't ask me about Carl Stiles." And
would have been better. Yeah. I wish if I could go back in time, I would go to the Irish McNeil Boys Club and just whisper in Dutch's ear, "Hey, go and watch the Murdoch and Styles match at ringside. I'm going to make a joke in 30 years."
Well, what's the joke you're going to make?
Well, if it would have been, that would have been a lot more entertaining had it ended with Dutch coming out to watch Carl Stiles in 1985.
Yes, it would have. For me anyway, even though you wouldn't have gotten the reference.
I sure didn't, but I appreciate you.
I did note here that they didn't out and out bury the WWF here. They kind of half-assed put it over, saying Murdoch was the WWF Tag Team Champion, but he had a chance to win the title back, but decided to come here to Mid-South, which of all the things they've done to bury the WWF, this is almost a half-assed put over because, hey, look, Murdoch was their Tag Team Champion for a while.
Imagine if we could have got Murdoch and Adonis as a babyface tag team in Mid-South.
Imagine if gay Adrian Adonis showed up in Mid-South. I think Bill's head would have exploded.
I want Adrian Street to come back and feud with Dick Murdoch.
How about teaming with Dick Murdoch?
That's even better.
Yeah. By the way, Murdoch wins with the Brain Buster, and he's here until March.
Awesome.
Yes. Jake the Snake Roberts and the Barbarian versus Wendell Cooley and Frankie Lane. Cooley and Lane did get a decent amount of offense, while Barbarian was throwing around Frankie Lane in a way that took no technique at all. Joel said that you aren't successful nowadays being a powerhouse with no skill. And then Jake pinned Lane with a DDT.
I continue to just greatly enjoy this Jake Roberts and the Barbarian team.
Yep. I don't know how long they last, but they're definitely enjoyable for as long as they're here.
You know what I'm not enjoying nearly as much?
TV Champion the Snowman.
TV Champion the Snowman. And another non-title match on TV.
Versus Randy Beeson, whoever the hell he is.
Well,
I'll say it. I don't know whomever the hell he is, but he wasn't terrible. He was a big guy, and he wasn't awful. We've seen worse big guys on this show before, and he got up for a power slam finish, which this actually may have been Snowman's best match. And think about the ground that covers.
See, I wanted to see if Beeson was like a word that meant something, so I could steal your Randy Barber joke about the horny hairdresser.
Yep. Did you find anything?
No, I think it's just a surname.
Okay. Any thoughts on our television champion?
Okay, so the first match, the Kareem Muhammad Private Terry Daniels match was pretty bad. And then we had two much better squash matches. And then we had another one that wasn't any good.
I mean, it says something when the Snowman has a better match than somebody on the show. And
but then we got another good one.
Yes, we got a good one here. It was Tommy Pritchard and Patty Rose versus Brickhouse Brown and Mark Ragen. Now, I got to tell you, I wasn't paying too close attention to this match because too busy being quite annoyed. So they tell us that next week, Ted DiBiase and Dr. Steve Williams have signed a contract to defend the Mid-South Tag Team title against one of 4 teams. They don't even know who their opponents are. How is that legal? If this is a real sport, like we're supposed to pretend it is, how can they be forced to defend in a match where they don't know who their opponents are?
I'm honestly really surprised that we don't have more lawyers in wrestling because a lot of the contract law seems very irregular.
We need to get Legal Eagle on the line here to discuss pro wrestling contract law.
That would be tremendous. He's great.
Yes, he is. Joel claimed that among teams, Chavo and Hector Guerrero won a title shot. They left the fucking territory in February.
They still want a title shot.
And I know, yeah, I know someone's going to say, yeah, I know someone's going to say, oh, well, they're wrestling on the Houston shows. I'm sorry. I know it's technically part of the territory. I don't count the fucking Houston shows.
No.
No,
you know what it is? What did they keep saying? What did they keep saying that they wanted but didn't get?
The 2-referee match.
No, they got the 2-referee match. What did they still not get?
The Mexican referee.
And what do we have on the show now?
We do, in fact, have a Mexican referee, Tony Torres.
Yes, Tony Torres has been refereeing the past couple of shows. So, yeah, that's why they want to come back, because they think they might finally get a fair chance with an unbiased referee.
Yep. By the way, I do have an update. We only have 2 more weeks of the Snowman.
Does he even lose the fucking TV title before he leaves? Don't tell me, I guess.
I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to find out.
Okay.
But let's see. Ragin pinned Patty Rose with a sunset flip.
They had like 5 minutes, and it was best thing on the show so far because it had time to breathe.
And that Tommy Pritchard guy, he might be able to do something with that guy.
I don't think I ever really saw Tom as a wrestler until we started watching Smoky Mountain, but yeah, I'm a fan now.
Dirty Dutch Mantel versus, from 227 pounds in the blue corner, Brad Armstrong. I don't want to alarm you, but this was a very good professional wrestling match.
Yes.
Dutch won with a schoolboy and a handful of tights after kicking out of a roll-up that sent Brad throw first into the turnbuckle.
Brad can't be too terribly much longer for this territory, can he?
I can't imagine he is. I mean, I know he quote-unquote comes back when Crockett buys the territory. But let me see here. Good old B-Rad Armstrong. Let's see here. And he definitely has a severe case of boo-boo face too, because you could just see on his face that he is not pleased with his current bookings. And so it's his penultimate TV match.
Good word.
Next week is his last match here on TV.
All right. So last week,
yes.
Well, we should have known last week. We could have noted his semi-penultimate match.
When he and Brickhouse Brown, actually that wasn't even last week, that was a few weeks ago, he and Brickhouse Brown losing to Doc and DiBiase.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on over there?
I'm sorry?
I thought you were kind of giggling.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was clearing my throat.
How dare you? So, Dirty White Boys versus the Fantastics. Last time they wrestled, they went to a time limit draw because Bobby and Tommy went around to hug and kiss every woman before the match. And, well, they get more time because this week they do the exact same thing. They went around and hugged. They literally hugged every girl and kissed any of them that wanted a kiss.
These women are molesting the Fantastics at this point.
Is it molesting when they are encouraging it?
That's a fair point.
If they didn't want it, well, this is going to sound terrible, but like they wouldn't do a lap of the ring. It's like they just walk in, cross the little hoop on the barricade, and get in the ring. Oh, God.
So what you're saying is they're asking for it.
Who do you think got more?
Maybe they shouldn't dress like that in those little trunks, huh?
Who do you think got more in the Mid-South territory, them or the Rock and Rolls?
Who was there longer?
Probably the answer. I mean, the Rock and Rolls are here for about a year. The Fantastics are off and on. So they probably spend more cumulative time here. So probably the Fantastics.
Yeah.
I know Jackie's his brother, but it's like all I can think is, Bobby Bobby's managed to conceive Jackie at some point around here. So Fantastics, I don't know why. I know other people have done this, but the rowboat spot that they did, the only times I ever remember seeing that is when midgets would do that in a tag match.
They had a really good match.
Yeah, they did. JRX claimed that the Fantastics are canceling their world-class bookings and coming here full-time. I don't know if they're necessarily canceling their bookings as much as just finishing up.
Are they still the American Tag Team Champions?
They are still the American Tag Team Champions. So I hope they don't cancel all their bookings until giving some other teams a rightful title shot. Like, aren't Mike Von Erich and Brian Adias owed a shot from that time to beat the Midnight Express?
Probably a lot of people owed a shot.
Carl Fergie did not approve of the four-way and tried to remove Bobby Fulton. Denton tried to use his boot on Rogers, but Rogers didn't approve, so he ducked, and Denton hit Anthony, and Rogers pinned Anthony with a small package.
This was
it was a very fun main event.
It was a very good match.
Yep. And then the show ended with JR screaming at us that he's going to tell us all about next week's show next week. I imagine he's not wrong.
Now, he did say, allegedly, the Snowman is going to defend the TV title next week. I'll believe it when I see it.
I can confirm when I just checked the Snowman's matches, he does defend the TV title next week, according to Cage Match.
All right. Well, that's good.
Yeah. We'll see if he loses it or not, but I can tell you he at least puts it on the line. I got to say, he's a much worse TV champion than Terry Taylor, because even, I know Terry Taylor had that shitty first run with the medal, but it's like Terry Taylor's defending that fucking medal the second time against anybody who breathed in his direction.
I think every TV champion didn't even like Crusher Khrushchev, who never defended it and lost it on a house show.
Yes, I'm going to bet Crusher Khrushchev was a better TV champion than that.
Yeah.
I don't know when he did it, but I saw a Barry Darsow clip come up on my feed today. I don't even know who he did it with, but he did an interview talking about how he hated his time in WCW because he wasn't being used and he was just getting paid to sit at home.
Sounds like the dream, honestly. He has a autobiography out that was on my list to do. By the way, did you see? I think I just saw it today. Did you see who else has a biography out?
Everybody, but
Greg the Hammer Valentine. I hear you got to read about 15 pages before you get into it, though.
I was going to say, I was going to make a 20-minute joke, but yeah, 15. See, this is why Greg Valentine couldn't wrestle in the Attitude Era, because what fucking match ever won 15 minutes?
I got to go find that. Okay. I got to go tweet that now because I didn't think of it until now.
Well, while Trey is tweeting that out, we're going to go to the intro of World Class with Bill Mercer.
Welcome to World Class Championship Wrestling, the major league of professional wrestling seen around the world. We're from the Sportatorium, the famous Sportatorium here in Dallas, Texas. I'm Bill Mercer, and great to have you with us. And we've got a tremendous card. Our main event features Brian Adias and coming back, Killer Tim Brooks. And we've got an interview that may be the interview of all time with Killer Tim Brooks. Also, Scott Casey will be with us, and Rip Oliver, and Bobby Fulton, and many others. We've got excitement right here on World Class Championship Wrestling, and we'll be back with our first bout right after this.
I don't know why, but the way he said that, I'm like, well, are Brian Adias and Killer Tim Brooks wrestling each other in the main event, or are they in the main event against somebody else? I got our answer.
Phrasing.
They're sports entertaining against each other.
Indeed, I was very
And
entertained.
we're also
I
going
will
to have
say,
the greatest.
I'm sure I have seen him on a tape sometime before, but I have no real fixed memory of impression of Killer Tim Brooks other than the name. I was very sports entertained by Killer Tim Brooks.
Yes. Bill Mercer is prone to hyperbole. He's not stretching the truth too much when he says we're going to have a promo of all time later on today with Killer Tim Brooks.
It is an all-time promo.
Yes. I got to say that we see a lot of matches and a lot of promos on these shows. I'm going to remember this Killer Tim Brooks promo, I think, for a little while. Oh, Lord. So before we get there, we got to go to the opener, which is Rip Oliver with James E. Cornette versus Bobby Fulton, who is rocking his DDP rib tape. And it's funny watching these shows on the same dates, since Fulton had the rib tape on the last 2 weeks on Mid-South, but not on World Class. And then on this week, it's the opposite.
I used to keep track of when the shows were being taped, and I've really slipped lately.
Well, I did look it up. This show was taped on June 14th, and the Mid-South show was taped on June 19th.
Okay.
So, yeah. Mercer, by the way, calls Jim Cornette a rainbow of personality. And if Trae hadn't come up with this week's episode title, that would have been a challenger for it.
The title that we went with had to be, though.
Yes. There was no legitimate second option for this week's episode title. Donna Montgomery from St. Louis, Missouri, apparently came down to see the show today and got a shout out. You know, Trae, that's only a 630-mile drive. I know this is 1985, so people weren't regularly traveling state lines to see wrestling shows. But imagine if they did that today, where they shout out people who come from more than 100 miles away. That'd be the reason why AEW pay-per-views are 5 hours long. Keller would just be reading everybody's name.
We're both traveling a lot more than 5 hours to go to G1. Can we get? I bet we could get Walker Stewart to say our names.
Say our names and
we
appear. I still haven't bought my ticket yet.
You said I thought you were going to go Destiny's Child.
Say our names when no one is around you. Say, baby, I love you.
If you ain't running games.
Say my name. And there goes the listener for the week. I went to see Evanescence yesterday. That was fun.
Oh, did they bring you to life?
They did. And believe it or not, they do have more than 2 songs. They actually have a new album that's out now. So
it's funny because you said 2 songs and I know exactly which 2.
Everyone knows what 2 songs I'm talking about.
Because that's very not my music, right? But
yes.
even I know.
Oh God. I went with my bestie Lauren, and she I like to think I'm not about to out her because I think she's pretty open with this, but she's bisexual, and she was telling me because it's Evanescence, so a lot of goth and alternative people are going there, and she was definitely enjoying all the hot goth girls who were milling around.
The tweet is already doing well, by the way.
Who?
My tweet.
Oh, okay, good. By the way, coming up at some point today, I don't know what time today because it didn't happen on this show anyway, a really spectacular piece of artwork with tremendous music on Kerry Von Erich. And Mercer says we'll also like the MC of the Killer Tim Brooks promo, who ended up being Gary Hart. And, well, I guess Gary Hart did do an acceptable job as the MC of the promo.
I'm sorry, when you were waiting for me to say something, I was letting the cat back out of the room.
See, I was talking about hot goth girls, and you started talking about your tweet. you have any comments on hot goth girls before we continue?
Doesn't hit for me.
Your cup of tea?
Nah.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. What was that?
Not my thing. Not my thing.
That's all right, I guess. By the way, I tried to go to Twitter to find your tweet, and you're not in the first few people, so I'm just going to search for you. There we go. I love that you're apparently whatchamacallit, you follow PW Insider. I don't know why that's a big deal, but
do I follow PW Insider? No, I don't. I guess I don't know, but PW Insider.
Okay, well, it popped up on your thing. Apparently, Marina Shafir has volunteered to go first against Bully.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which fight I would pay more for: Josh Barnett versus Bully Ray or Marina Shafir versus Bully Ray.
How about a 2-on-1 handicap match?
There you go.
Or a gauntlet match, but the loser is the one that keeps advancing.
There you go. Yeah.
So by the way, there's a match going on. Bobby Fulton and Rip Oliver. I was like, which member of the Midnight Express is it? Oh, it's none of the members of the Midnight Express. This was a world-class opener with better heat because Bobby Fulton is, well, Bobby Fulton. Rip won by pulling some kind of foreign object out and nudging it into Fulton's ribs for the win. Prior to that, Fulton did the 10 punches in the corner and Cornette tripped him. I never really thought about it, but they showed Oliver and Cornette leaving and they go outside the building. So the heel locker room needed to be accessed from outside the building. And even then, I only noticed it because it was still daylight, and every other time we've seen them leave the building, it was nighttime. So I guess I never realized that, even though, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, it is June in Texas. It's not getting dark until about 9 p.m.
Yeah. And if I remember from Mick Foley's book, the Sportatorium had 0 AC in that building, which is honestly not that shocking.
Imagine the smell of that place.
Oh, I can't imagine. Okay. So we previewed this for you here, but we got to go in here. Let's now go to Gary Hart, who is, I guess at this point, he's in a parking lot waiting for Killer Tim Brooks to show up. And there's so much greatness about this promo. The greatness begins before Killer Tim Brooks even shows up. Let's go to Gary Hart now.
You see, I'm Gary Hart. Bill Mercer was supposed to be here today, but he's somewhere up by North Texas State matriculating, he told me. I just think it is. He don't like to. Hey, bro, what it is? I can't, man. I'm doing some business. Nice talking to you. As I said, Bill Mercer was supposed to be here, but for some reason he's not. And I've got my man, Killer Tim Brooks. As you know, I'm going for the World 6-Man Tag Team title. I got the one-man gang. Killer Tim Brooks, I'm looking for one more guy. Turn it down here, bro. Turn it down here.
How's it going, Gary?
Hey, man, I tell you, world-class cameras are here, and they want to know from you personally about the incident that took place in the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit when you and the one-man gang...
You mean breaking the kid's shoulder?
Yeah, which kid now? Let's get the kids...
Mike,
right.
the young one.
That's right.
You know, Gary, riding this motorcycle is beautiful, man, and I enjoy tripping out. Look at this thing, man, this beautiful red scooter. It's lovely, isn't it? You know, and that's great, and I get a lot of pleasure out of that. But I'll tell you people one thing.
Where you going?
More pleasure. Come over here.
Where you going?
I'm going to show you something, Gary Hart.
Where you going?
More pleasure out of breaking Mike Von Erich's shoulder. Hey, I was happier than a pig, brother. I was happier than a pig in slop.
Hey, Brooks, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? Get out of that water.
Give me more pleasure, Gary Hart, than anything I've ever done.
Get out of that water,
Mike
man.
Von Erich,
That's dirty.
You scream like a baby.
That's filthy, Brooks.
You scream like a baby. I've never heard a wrestler scream like that in all my life. Mike Von Erich, you're the weakest of all the Von Erichs. Now that I've broke your shoulder, you're going Your big brothers should come and do something about me. And let me tell you one more thing while I'm here. Coach Fritz, you might have to come and do something about Killer Brooks, Gary Hart, and the gang.
Just like I told you, Fritz von Erich, when you humiliated me before 40,000 people in Texas Stadium, you were gonna pay the price. Mike has a shoulder separation. I have Killer Tim Brooks, and I have the one-man gang, and I am searching desperately for someone else, someone perfectly to go with Killer Tim Brooks and the one-man gang. And as soon as I have all three, I'm going for the gold, your gold, World Six-Man Tag Team titles. Killer Tim Brooks, the one-man gang, and whoever I can find that can get the job done. And you, ugly man.
Okay, we're done for the show. Thank you for listening. Talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to do this to you.
Killer Tim Brooks is going to the Something Else
We
Hall.
also have to conduct this promo.
Oh my God. That might be the greatest debut promo we've ever had on this show.
I messaged you on Saturday with no context and just wrote, I sent you the episode title. And did you pop? Did you pop when you saw it?
I did. For the greatest debut promo of all time.
And for like the last year, my Twitter avatar was the picture of Jim Cornette doing the introduction, and Boyd Pierce is behind him, staring at him like he's a space alien. I have changed it now to Gary Hart standing next to Killer Tim Brooks, who has mud wiped on his head, and is standing in front of a McDLT billboard.
Yes, I was going to mention that. Did you notice that? Yes, you did. One of the all-time epic failures in McDonald's marketing, somehow combined with one of the all-time greatest promos. Hey, bro, what is it? I'm doing some business here. Nice talking to you.
That's fucking tremendous. God, this was great.
They didn't even take I mean, I'm happy they didn't take a second take, to be honest. Like, because at what point would you stop them and go, okay, let's rewind that due to the marks yelling out to Gary Hart?
It would have ruined the magic. This was perfect. Yeah.
Oh my God. He just goes over. And the best part is Gary Hart follows him for a little bit until he starts slamming his chain into the aisle of muddy water and it's splashing everywhere. Oh my God. I don't know how long Killer Tim Brooks is with us here in this territory, but I guarantee no one does a better debut promo. Guarantee.
I absolutely believe that.
Now, who do you think the third is? Because I'll be honest, because Cornette's leaving and the Midnight Express are leaving in a couple weeks. Maybe Rip?
That would make sense.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah. I mean, Akbar's not around, so maybe they could bring in Kamala, I guess. I guess we'll see here.
Maybe it'll be Max.
Oh, God. I don't know. I think Max is in New York currently. We talked about that last week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Now, we mentioned the McDLT. Do you know which one the McDLT was, right?
I did, because I looked it up. It existed for a few years. It went away when I was a small child. I never had one. I've heard jokes about it. I would love to try one. McDonald's, if you're listening, and why wouldn't you be? Bring back the McDLT for a limited run. Now, I'll review it on the show.
Okay, you're making me think that I don't know what it is. Isn't it the hamburger where they had like the larger styrofoam case, so they had like the lettuce, tomato, etc. on one side, and then you took it home and smushed it together? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've never heard anyone say that the burger was like anything special, like just that it was a decomposed cheeseburger that you put together yourself.
Deconstructed, not decomposed.
Deconstructed, decomposed, same thing. A deconstructed cheeseburger. I know it's not the same thing. Let me go with it here. But I can see the idea at the same time. It's like, it wasn't worth the extra styrofoam kind of thing.
That's like a common. That's a common enough way that restaurants serve burgers with the tomato and lettuce and such on the side, so you can just. As a devout onion hater, I appreciate that.
Yes. I love onions, but I prefer the smaller chopped up onions versus the long pieces of onion. So give me a McDouble over a quarter pounder any day.
I am fine with cooked onions for the most part. Cannot do raw onions, except for the dehydrated McDouble onions. I get those when the McRib comes back. I have them replace the slivered onion with that diced onion.
I've had one McRib in my life, and it was all right. I didn't get the hype for it though.
I try. I have one or two every year, and I never get the hype, and then I get one again the next year.
I think this is an I'm getting older thing, but I've fallen out of love with the Shamrock Shake. I think it's kind of just a overrated drink at this point.
That was never one of my fixations.
Oh, we're really all over the place with today's episode, aren't we? Let's see here. So after that, we're gonna have another Midnight Express match, kind of. It is Bobby Eaton with Jim Cornette versus Cowboy Scott Casey with the Lovely Sunshine. Scott Casey is now Cowboy, in case you wanted to doubt whether or not he's a babyface in this territory. Eaton.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This was the 10-minute world-class TV match, but it was Bobby Eaton and Steve Casey, so it was a lot better than fucking Johnny Mantell and Kelly Kiniski. With all due respect to Johnny Mantell and Kelly Kiniski. And
with all due respect to Steve Casey, this was Scott Casey.
Oh my God, I wrote Steve Casey. Hold on, and I knew it was Scott. Scott's the cowboy one. I gotta remember that.
Yes.
Steve is the English one, and Sean is the Smoky Mountain job guy.
I was about to say Sean was in the New Breed, but that was Sean Royal. So Scott Casey's now Cowboy. Bobby Eaton is wearing pink tights and boots. So Mercer entertained himself before the lockup by saying Eaton may be doing ballet now.
Hey.
See, it's Bill Mercer is the reason why the Hart Foundation wore pink as heels is for the Bill Mercers of the world.
I have a pet peeve, and that's, you've heard it a trillion zillion times that when talking about pro wrestling, that people will go, it ain't ballet. And do you know how fucking difficult it is to do ballet at a high level? Ballerinas are tougher than fucking shoe leather.
Yep. And I say this with zero ballet experience.
Mm-hmm.
So you've never seen Scott Casey move so fast as when someone grabs that fucking green jacket, because Eaton got it to give it to Corny, but Casey exploded up to get it back.
Oh, did you mention Cornette kissing Bobby on the cheek before the match?
I did not.
That was fucking fantastic. This is such easy heat for a crowd like this, and I loved it very much.
Well, Scott Casey's obsession with the green jacket, all of a sudden I feel like I need to rewrite my 1988 Survivor Series chapter of my book, of my first book, so I could reference that fucking green jacket. Eaton got several not threes, which frustrated Cornette. Corny thwacked Casey in the rib with his racket, so Bobby Fulton, who came to ringside, decked him, and Casey schoolboyed Eaton for the win.
Yeah, that was what happened. This was good. It was a good match.
Yeah. And I mean, like we said, we know the Midnight Express are on their way out of the territory, which makes us sad because that's 1 to 2 less good matches on each week's show.
Uh-huh. And a lot less good promos. Fewer.
And something that made me almost equally as sad, WWE Network edited out the Kerry Von Erich music video. #sad.
Oh, boo. You could have put Bad Karma Cowboy over it.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know the exact because I mean again, World Class tapes their shows 2 weeks at a time, a few weeks in advance. So they may be here on TV till the middle of July. But yeah, the Midnight Express are gone. Cornette stays until the next Star Wars show on Independence Day, so he could do a job for Sunshine. But that's about it.
And he came out to "I'm Walking on Sunshine," which is amazing. 10 out of 10.
Sunshine. Whoa. Yes. And don't feel good. Hey. So let's see here. The last match they have June 21st versus the Fantastics at the Sportatorium. So we're gonna see it. This was Bob Eaton's penultimate match. Let me see if
Now,
we may see Condry next week. Go ahead.
was it because they alternated weeks? Was it the TV taping Sportatorium or the house show Sportatorium?
I didn't click on it any further. Condry is not on the show taped from June 14th. But well, and looking at the results of the June 21st, 1985 Sportatorium show, my guess is it's not for TV. There's only 5 matches, and even on a short episode of World Class, we get 3. So I'm thinking this may be it.
When we start missing the Midnight Express, we can finally get back to our plan to watch all of the World Championship Wrestlings going up to Starrcade 85.
There you go. We already watched 1 episode.
Yeah.
3 more to go. So Killer Tim Brooks with Gary Hart versus Brian Adias. We're told half of next week's match, or next week's main event. We're told that Kabuki and Chris Adams are going to be in a tag team match against each other. Whose thrust kick is better? And they do tell us later who the partners are. And at least in one case, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's World Class, who, I mean, one of the things we have complimented World Class with is they mix and match feuds and teams a bit. So while it seems obvious that Chris is going to team with Gino, it's not out and out obvious, so it could be somebody else, but we'll get to that here in about 3 minutes. Adias did his best Shane McMahon impression and hurt his leg on a leapfrog. This is not the first time he's done that. And I'm going to tell you something. We say a lot of crap about Brian Adias, and I'm sure we will for the next couple of years. But Brian Adias, it does a really good job of selling his leg.
Yes.
I'm thinking this boy's had a real leg injury at some point in his life.
Probably. By the way, Brooks is from Waxahachie, Texas, which I bring up just because that's my favorite Texas city to pronounce.
Home of Trevor Murdoch and I believe Dick Murdoch. And
do you know where in Texas Waxahachie is, Arya?
This is purely a guess. I'm going to say northern Texas by the Oklahoma border, but I don't know that for sure.
Not too far off. It's south of Dallas, like toward Waco.
Okay. So you're wondering where the hell Killer Tim Brooks has been all this time. If he's from Waxahachie. So Brooks basically won with a ref stoppage here because he beat Brian Adias so badly, he kicked his ass so much that the referee is like, I'm not going to let this keep going, and wait for a pinfall. And then Drunk Mark Lawrence, being the Drunk Mark Lawrence that Drunk Mark Lawrence is, tried to award Brian Adias the win via disqualification. I should note, I didn't write down who the referee was. I think it was Bronco Lubitsch, but
it was.
David Manning von Erich was not the referee. Which, if he was, I'm sure Brian Adias would have won by DQ.
I did originally write for the finish that Brooks won by referee stop via excessive ass kicking.
Yes. God. Okay, maybe because he hasn't done anything stupid lately. Where the hell is David Manning von Erich? I feel like I haven't seen him in weeks. Or maybe he's been here the whole time, just that he hasn't done anything biased lately, so I only notice him when he does something biased.
I think he's better off at all. I bet he'll be on next week because when Drunk Mark Lawrence did the thing at the beginning, he did name all three of them.
Yep. Referee Ricky Hazard was the referee for the first two matches, and Bronco Lubitsch was the referee for the main event. And turns out that main event next week, by the way, is Kabuki and Kerry Von Erich versus Adams and Gino.
What a team! The Great Kabuki and Kerry Von Erich.
So I know I said earlier that I don't know when Killer Tim Brooks or how long he's here for. He's here until Thanksgiving. But Trey, I don't want you to get sad because he does come back in May of '86 and doesn't leave until Fritz has a heart attack.
Does he give Fritz the heart attack?
Possibly. Maybe he gave Fritz his notice in the back and there goes Fritz's heart.
I need Killer Tim Brooks to earn the name.
I know that's the planned stopping point, at least. Right? We'll see if we get that far. But it's my planned stopping point just because it also coincides with the last UWF show. But there is that part of me that wants to see for weeks afterwards where they try to talk about Fritz's health condition in a way to, draw more people to the house because he feels better when more people come to the show.
All right, I have to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of a Mark Von Erich?
No, I have not.
I went to Dynamite last Wednesday, and I ran into our mutual friend Erin Quinn, and she was showing me that she had found something that, who was it? There was a wrestler from like early 90s or whatever named Rock Hard Rick, who she had done some research on and apparently found that at some point, apparently in some Dallas promotion, that Rock Hard Rick wrestled as Mark Von Erich.
I actually, as you said that, I did a Google search. Rick Laribius, a Texas-based wrestler, has been billed as Mark Von Erich since the 1990s. Eventually became a storyline in the Global Wrestling Federation, with Skandar Akbar accusing Laribius of being an illegitimate son of Fritz.
Well, now can we just get to Fritz having a heart attack and then skip to Global?
I just love that General Skandar Akbar just never goes away, apparently.
Well,
God.
Where did he live?
Sadly,
Dallas. Where did he live? Dallas, Shreveport. He lived in the area.
I'm thinking. He was born in Vernon. He died in Garland, Texas.
That's Dallas.
Okay. So yeah, he retired in 1996. He passed away in 2010. So no, Skandar Akbar will not be showing up on Raw next week.
Oh.
But apparently Skandar Akbar translates to Alexander the Great. So there's that.
I know that the phrase Allahu Akbar means God is great, so
You learn something new every day on this show, and I mean, we told you what Skandar Akbar stands for, but we also told you about Mark Von Erich, apparently a real person.
Should I also talk about La Campana while we're on the subject?
Sure, why the hell not? Let's talk about La Campana.
Well, I had to go on an overnight trip with my wife, and as I was leaving the hotel today, I don't know why I looked over and saw a sign that says "Tocar la campana," ring the doorbell. And I'd recognize that word, and I think it was because I had just watched the FantasticaMania because there was one on there. There is a lucha submission called La Campana, and it's the hold where you know how you would set up like a Mexican surfboard, but you do that, but instead of going back with them, you pick them up and swing them back and forth like a bell.
Isn't it basically the move that Paige and Bull Nakano used to use?
Basically, except that I don't remember Paige swinging people back and forth. But yeah, did Bull Nakano use that? Makes sense. I remember using the diving leg drop
actually,
mainly.
they may not have swung them back and forth, but I remember because because when Paige did it was called the modified Scorpion Cross Lock or something like that.
Until they changed it to the PTO, just Paige's tap out.
Yeah. So that's gonna do it for this week's show here. It was a hell of a little show we had here. We saw the debut of Killer Tim Brooks. We saw the debut of what's his name? Ray Candy, Kareem Muhammad, the Zambuie Express. One of these things were more entertaining than the other.
Yes. Well, at least it sucks that Cornette and the Midnight are leaving, but at least we've got Killer Tim Brooks to entertain us.
To be fair, Kareem Muhammad did not cut a promo, so for all we know, he could have been great.
He did do a Kokeshi, though. That's a mark in his favor.
Yes. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Again, TNA tomorrow, Impact on Friday. No Smoky Mountain this week, but then, of course, Cindy's back from vacation, so we'll be back to our normal schedule next week. But thank you all for listening. I hope you all enjoyed the show. We'll talk again in 7 days.
Bye.